This is Weather and Ag in Focus with Bridgette Readel, Justin Storm, and Dean Wysocki.
And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus, 1:05 in the afternoon on this Wednesday, November 29th, feeling more like the middle of October. Pretty nice out there, all considering the time of the year. 45 degrees, west wind blowing between about 5 and 15 out there. A little cooler in Lakes Country, and temperatures out to our west already in the upper 40s. Galesburg, 47, 46 in Jamestown, and Edgeley checking in at 50 degrees. So not a bad way to end November. Guys, are you enjoying the warm weather? Or I know I don't have to ask Storm. I know he wants snow. But this is
Bring on the snow.
This is nice.
It's been okay. People like having good roads for travel, so that's been helpful to many. I can even say that for myself traveling, I do appreciate having clean roads right now. Thank you for that. It's been very good.
Lack of snow so far, and I want to remind everybody next Tuesday, right around the corner, December 5th, 2 p.m. in the afternoon, me, Bridgette, Justin, Gary Lezak, we'll all be on the Jay Thomas Show from 2 o'clock to 5 for our winter weather outlook. We'll be breaking down what the LRC looks like for this upcoming winter, and we'll even take a look into spring for our ag community to kind of get a head start on what we may expect. But we've been taking bets around the office here about how much snow we're going to get, and the consensus is, and maybe because they've been listening to what me and Justin have been saying, but that it's not going to be anywhere near what last year was, unfortunately, if you're a snow lover. In fact, so I did some digging on this, and can you guys remember when's the last time we had a snow-free Christmas? In other words, no snow on the ground whatsoever. Yeah, I know a lot of people say December 20th, just a few years ago, December 2020, we had a trace of snow on the ground then. So can you guys, what do you think? Last time we had no snow on the ground. On average, I think we're about, isn't it like 87%, Justin? We have a white Christmas.
Yes.
I think, yeah. that came with a lot of confidence.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure
that sounds right.
Yeah, it's about 87%. So, any guess, guys? When's the last time we had a snow-free Christmas? No snow on the ground whatsoever.
I am going to pick 2009. I would say that's pretty close, if I'm not mistaken.
That's funny. That was the same year I was thinking.
Was it? Guys aren't far
Were we
off.
right?
You're not far.
Oh.
Was it 11?
11 we had a trace on the ground. 2006 we had nothing. In fact, that whole month basically went snow-free. So.
Okay, so homework for you, Dean. What was the following summer like? Did we have adequate rainfall and moisture to hit average or above average, or how did that? Because you listened to folks that have all the wives' tales, and they say you can't have summer if you don't have winter, meaning you need to have some snowfall in order to get to that accurate moisture in the summer months. So I'm going to need to know what the summer of 2007 was like after that, Dean.
All right.
Maybe that's any indication for us of what we'll see.
You said 2007, huh?
Are you gonna? You want me to look that up, Justin, or you wanna?
If you want to look it up, Ken.
Okay. Why don't you guys?
So everybody's doing their homework.
Yeah. Why don't you guys yap for a little bit while I look all this up?
All right. Let's flap
isn't
our
there
gums.
a Saturday night? Isn't there a Saturday Night Live skit like that? You guys talk amongst yourselves. I'm a little verklempt over here.
Well, I know what we can talk about, and that's what's coming up on the show today. We got a few ag topics that we'll try to hit throughout the course of this afternoon, and one of those is the well water safety. Robotics are on the rise on the small scale, and it looks like Ag Stress Hotline for ag producers. So, Bridgette, you want to pick one of those? We'll start on off, and then we can tease who our guest will be, and I'm sure by then Dean will have an answer for us on 07.
Excellent. And when we tease about a guest today, I was going to have Don Stiefelbein, most most recent past president of National Cattlemen's Beef Association, joining me here. But unfortunately, Don got in a little bit late from Kimball, Minnesota. So I'll catch him later. We'll maybe have some recorded audio that we can use later on this week, because we'll have some time for that. But I do want to let folks know that while I'm down here at South Dakota Cattlemen's Convention, one of the questions I asked one of our cattle producers, I said, all right, as a consumer, I have listeners who will ask this question of me. We know that right now we have the least amount of livestock head on inventory, meaning we have the lowest number of cattle on pasture or feedlot than we've had in well over 20 years. Should we be concerned about a lack of beef at some point in time? Are we going to not have enough cattle to produce beef for this country? There's a couple things he wanted me to send to all of our listeners to remind you. First of all, we are wildly more efficient at producing beef now than we ever used to be. So in fact, we are seeing our carcass rates going up about 200 pounds per animal. So that means you have more beef on the hoof per animal. We have seen those numbers of inventoried head go down, particularly because of weather. Last summer was super dry in western South Dakota, western North Dakota, and even in Texas. Y'all remember when we had Quentin Shield Night on earlier this year, and he talked about the drought that they've been having in West Texas, to the point that lightning could kill his cotton crop. So we know that there are major areas of the country that experienced dry conditions, lack of feedstuffs. He said that's coming back. We're seeing a shift in the weather. Also, it helps when we see corn prices drop as an input feed for livestock. I know not every corn farmer wants to hear that. They like having good prices. But rest assured, our beef producers feel very confident that they're going to continue to provide a quality product for all of us who want it. So don't be afraid to still buy that beef. And in some cases, just buying ground hamburger actually can sometimes be off of a dairy animal and not necessarily off of a beef animal like you might expect. Still great quality beef, still raised right here in the U.S. So some things to keep in mind.
There you go. Dean, were you able to find anything over there?
Almost there. Hold on.
Just
Dean's
about
doing his
there.
homework.
Okay, so this is interesting.
Here, look at me be the shining star today, kids.
You are. So October, November. So let's use the LRC cycle going back then. October of 06, very dry, only 0.12 of an inch of precip. November, so again, we're into the LRC cycle here. I'm sorry, November was dry. November, we had 0.12 of an inch. December, we had a little above normal, so it was wet. It was wet prior to Christmas, and it was in the form, looks like mainly rain. And then post-Christmas, we had a storm in 06. Once you got to spring, so February and March were quite snowy. And then April, May, June of 07 all had above normal precip. July was very dry, and August returned to normal precip. So you had periods, the start of the LRC cycle was kind of dry, kind of like we're experiencing now. But then towards the tail end, it did turn wet. And that did translate into a kind of a wet summer. All three main months, April, May, June, July, April, May, June, were all at or above normal in terms of precip. So a little bit different there. I was expecting the same thing. I was expecting a dry spring into summer with but again, you're just pinpointing.
But maybe not.
You're snapshotting one day. No snow on Christmas. Which is a rarity. Mm-hmm. But overall, precip averaged a little drier than normal for part of the LRC cycle, but then it was above normal in other parts. So. This will be an interesting discussion come next Tuesday.
And please remind folks, Dean, what are we doing next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday, our winter weather outlook. We'll be joined with Gary Lezak, and we'll be breaking down what the LRC is all about and how it works. We'll have some new viewers on our sister stations out in Grand Rapids, so we'll be covering the Iron Range and parts of northern Minnesota as well. And so we'll go into detail. The cycle has been set. We're going to be talking with Gary this afternoon and getting ready for the for our special next Tuesday. And again, that's at 2 p.m. in the afternoon on the Jay Thomas Show. So the cycle has set. It appears that way anyway. And we've had wet and very dry parts to this cycle. It's totally unlike last year. So let's see how it pans out. It'll be an interesting conversation next Tuesday.
Well, it's never dull. And I know that lots of folks want to send you their date and location, and is it going to snow, that kind of thing. Do you want those on air? Do you want emails?
Emails are probably easier. More than welcome to call in with your questions. We'll be saving a lot of those for email responses. I've already gotten 3 requesting dates in January, that they're traveling down to the cities to take a flight out, and they're worried about their trip down there. Any questions, shoot us an email at weather@flagfamily.com or ag@flagfamily.com as well. So we're running up on American Ag Network here at 16 after. We do have a guest coming on after our commercial break. Bridgette, you want to introduce our guest?
We do, and I think she's waiting in the wings, eagerly ready to have this discussion with us. We're going to be joined by Christine Leonard. She is a Minnesota dairy farmer and also a cheesemonger. Okay.
A cheesemonger?
Bueller. What's a cheesemonger? Well, I bet we'll find out shortly when we get to talk to Christine. And she's got a website. It's called the Grater Good, Grater. So you're going to have to go look that up as well. I think that's an awesome play on words. So we will be right back with Christine. We will also make sure throughout this hour to talk about the weather, to talk about ag headlines, and don't forget to get one of those WDAY Stagger tractors as you do your Christmas shopping. We'll be right back.
Livestock market mostly higher. For the American Ag Network, I'm Richard Risfet with this market update. Follow through buyer support and live cattle contracts held through most of the day today with triple-digit gains seen during the first couple of hours of trade. Now around midday, prices started to slowly but steadily back away from session highs. However, the underlying firm tone that developed yesterday seems to be holding at this point. Traders continue to back away from market lows set at the beginning of the week with the complex remaining oversold, although concerns that beef and cash values may not be able to show significant market gains over the upcoming days or weeks could limit further market support over the next couple of days. Cash cattle trade remains undeveloped following light scattered trade through the South both yesterday and Monday. Live trade in the South has been seen at 173 to 175 per hundredweight, although interest in the North seems elusive at best. It is likely that more cattle will need to be sold in all areas, but the focus through the end of this week is likely to be based on dress cattle sales in the North. Box beef prices are lower, choice down 21 and select down 174 with a movement of 88 loads. And as for the hogs, lean hog futures have gained much needed support today with follow-through buyer support moving into the complex. Lightly traded spot December contracts remain slightly lower with most of the trade volume in early 2024 contract months. We'll get a look at the livestock numbers next. You're listening to the American Ag Network.
We're here again with Peterson Farm Seed lead agronomist Rick Swenson. What's the team focused on for 2024?
We're finishing up another record season, and we're so proud of the lineup we put together. Supply is great, and performance from top to bottom of corn, soybeans, and wheat sells itself.
We're hearing about the Promise Plus program from Peterson Farm Seed. What is it?
It's a promise of a seed, and it's a promise to you. It's our 28-year commitment to the region, along with generations down the line, and it's a promise to quality, top-of-the-line elite genetics. Get rewards for you to enjoy or use on your own farm.
What kind of rewards are we talking about?
It's 67 different reward options from paddle boards to deer stands all the way up to grain augers. It's 0% financing through January of 25 at your local bank or JDF.
When do farmers get in touch to sign up for Promise Plus with Peterson Farm Seed?
Get in touch with your local dealer before December 15th. If you're not sure who your local dealer is, jump on the website at petersonfarmseed.com and give me a shout.
Let's get a look at the livestock numbers. Live cattle December up 20 at 171.85. February up 40 at 173.22. April up 77 at 175.65. And the June live cattle, they're up 62 at 171.30. Feeders January up 65 at 221.70. March up 15 at 223.65. Lean hogs December down 15 at 68.77. February up 115 at 77.10. And the April lean hogs, they're up 152 at 76.52. With crude oil trading up a little over $1 at right around $77.50 a barrel. For the American Ag Network, I'm Richard Ristvet.
This is Weather and Ag in Focus with Bridgette Readel, Justin Storm, and Dean Wysocki.
And welcome back. Thank you for spending your afternoon with us. It's a great pleasure to have you join us, as well as, don't forget, if you haven't had a chance to yet, go to our website, because we want you to nominate a family for the Warm Heart, Warm Home promotion. Legacy Plumbing is working with us here at WDAY in order to find a family in need and make sure that they get a warm home by installing a furnace for them. Recipients who are nominated must be in the Cass or Clay County area, and you can once again go to our website at WDAY, click on the Hot Links button, and then go right ahead and put in your nomination for those who you believe should have a warm home as well as a warm heart for the holiday season. That giveaway is going to be happening very soon. The winner will be announced on Bonnie and Friends on Monday, December 18th. Meanwhile, our guest is joining us today, and that is Christine Leonard. Christine is a Minnesota dairy farmer and a cheesemonger. And she's got a great website, and we're going to have lots of questions. So, Christine, how are you today?
Good. How are you guys doing? Oh, can you hear me?
Yep.
We can,
we're
and
doing
we're
well.
fabulous. All right, Christine, tell us about your operation. What should we know about your dairy farm?
Sure. So I'm actually the sixth generation. My parents and I farm. We milk 45 registered Holstein cows. I always say just the 45 cows, but I forget. A few months ago, I actually added in 3 colored breed cows. So I also have 1 Guernsey, 1 Jersey, and 1 Ayrshire. A few sprinkles in my black and white herd. And then on the side, I also have a cheese business called the Grater Good. I make cheese and charcuterie boards and teach cheese education classes.
All right. Well, let's start with the cows, but I know we all want to get to the cheese before it's too terribly long. So 45 registered Holsteins. Okay, why would you want them registered versus just buying some Holsteins and other milk cows for inventory?
The biggest reason is I think tradition. So, like I said, I'm 6th generation, but I'm actually the 3rd generation of women to grow up on this farm. And so, when my mom's mom, when my grandparents, when they bought their first registered cow back in the 1960s, it's just been kind of a fun legacy to continue on. And it really is a neat way for us to keep track of our cows. So, I've had 2 calves born in the last 12 hours, both of them heifer calves. So they're looking for names. And I think one of them, the mother's name was Poof, Poof. I think we're going to call her calf Poutine. And then the other one this morning, the cow's name is Loofah, and I think we're going to call her Lather. It's really just a fun way for us to keep track of our cows and really just kind of make sure that we're doing our best to improve the herd, that we're building that we're working on making cows that are more efficient, that are going to be able to stay in our herds for a long time. And it's just kind of a fun way to do that. So.
And Christine, how much has your herd grown over the last, let's say, 10 years, and what's your future plan? How large would you like to get the herd?
That's such a great question. So I've been full-time farming for about 6 years. When I went off to college, I didn't think I was going to come home and farm, mostly because I didn't know how I was going to be able to farm at the size and scale that we're at. The average herd size in Minnesota is about 250 milking cows. That number gets a little bit bigger every day. And so just, economies of scale and really being able to make it work, wasn't really sure how I was going to be able to do that. I was one of the ones that got bit by the farming bug. I called my parents. I said, hey, let me come home and farm with you. They said, no way, go do something else. This is too much work for not enough money. And they're still right about that part. But I think when I came home, everybody, kept asking for a while, Christine, when are you going to get more cows? When are you going to expand the herd? And I think what we all have to remember is that what it takes to expand a herd of cows, it takes more feed, it takes more fuel, it takes more land, it takes more labor, all things that, as we're talking about the input prices and stuff like that too, everything we're able to grow ourselves is really able to help us kind of hone in and raise cows that that are happy, healthy, and producing a high quality, nutritious product. So the herd size has looked the same for quite a few years. My parents added on about 15 cows when they came home, or when they started farming, and it hasn't changed much. And to be honest with you, if I could milk about 30 cows, that would be awesome. So,
Because okay, so lots of questions there. When you think about, as you said, being third generation women on the farm with these dairy cows, do you have any cows that are like currently granddaughters of cows that were in the herd years back, and you've kept those same lines all the way along, or has there been a refresh in genetics, so to speak?
good question. So for the most part, we've been able to grow our herd. So actually, kind of a fun story. My grandma just brought the registration paper of the first registered cow they bought. Her name was Pride, and Pride had 6 daughters. Some of them they went on to be able to actually market and sell to other. To other farmers. But when you look around our barn today, about half the cows in our milking barn, the first letter of their first name is the letter P. And so I like to think that some of those cows probably do trace back to that first registered cow we bought. But I mean, I like to do a little tongue twister. I do a lot of cheese tasting classes, and it's kind of a good warm up for it. But one of my when I was really little, we had this cow. Her name was Popcorn. Popcorn was one of those cows you really remember because she was we'll call her a classic looking cow. Her udder was maybe about 5 inches off the ground, and I was little, so it'd be easy for me to climb under there to get her ready and put the milker on. And Popcorn, she had a calf named Pop. Pop had twins named Pip and Pep. We're going to follow Pip's line here. Pip had a cow named Pippi. Pippi, she had a calf named Pipling, and then Pipling also had a sister named Pip Stir, and so now I've got a Pip Star. Pip Star had Pip Sun, and Pip Sun had Pip Moon.
How about Pip Squeak? Come on, Pip Squeak has got to be in there.
No Pip Squeak yet.
Come on.
I gotta keep that one. We broke the cycle now. Pip Moon, we named her calf Pluto. So it's just been a really fun way to keep track of those cow families. So
That is awesome. What have you seen in changes in like production too, Christine? I mean, as a little kid growing up on the farm, I would imagine until now, changes in volume, butter fat, etc. What are some of those highlights you might recall?
yeah, I think, I've been very lucky. And the reason that we probably still have a herd that I was lucky enough to come home and join is because the generations before me have done such an excellent job in raising and breeding high quality animals. We actually, my dad's been able to keep the milk our herd average up pretty high for quite a few years. And the thing we've started to focus on probably in the last 10 or 15 years has been, like you said, increasing that butter fat and that protein numbers. We co-op our milk with Bongards creameries. And so we get premiums based on our fat, our protein, and then also our somatic cell count. So our somatic cell count, that really is basically just, it's kind of a little indicator as to how healthy your herd is. And the lower we can get that number, the better it is. And so we also get paid a premium on that. And so it's even more of an incentive to really keep a nice facility and, again, those healthy, happy cows that are producing that high quality product. So.
Well, it's not just Kemp's that has happy cows. I can see that already here, Christine. So you mentioned that your milk, you have a partnership with Baumgart's. Is your milk all going into cheese, or is your milk going somewhere else in that process? Any idea?
Kind of the neat thing about how the co-ops work, we don't have to get too much into it because it's way above my knowledge scale, but co-ops are able to kind of trade milk around. And so depending on who has space, that's who's bringing in our milk, although we do kind of contract with Bongards as well. So for the most part, our milk is going in to be made into cheese and butter and things like that. So those high fat and protein, kind of that cheese merit really is an incentive for them too.
Right on. Well, Christine, we got to take a moment and catch up with bottom of the hour news. When we come back, we'll rejoin this conversation. And if you want to ask any questions or join in, feel free to do so by giving us a call on the Red Wing Shoes phone line. That's 701-293-9000, or our email, weatherorag@flagfamily.com. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
A heartwarming experience with Legacy Plumbing and Heating. At Legacy, our mission is simple: to provide the best plumbing and heating experience in town, while also being dedicated to serving our community.
You can make a difference today by nominating a family in need for a brand new furnace thanks to Legacy Plumbing and Heating with the Warm Heart, Warm Home Initiative. Visit WDAYRadioNow.com today and nominate someone in need.
Remember, life flows better with Legacy. Join us in spreading warmth and love this season of giving.
Your diesel truck works hard, whether it's pulling a skid steer, working on the farm, or doing fleet work. If it's not running at 100%, that can be a problem. At ATI Diesel in Fargo, they know Duramax, Power Stroke, and Cummins inside and out. For November, ATI Diesel is waiving the inspection fee on all chassis repairs. So get your light-duty diesel truck to ATI Diesel in Fargo with 2-year, 24,000-mile warranty on all parts and labor. That's ATI Diesel in Fargo.
Good afternoon, I'm Tom Tucker, WDAY News First. The first floor of an apartment building flooded in Fargo after a pipe burst early this morning. It happened just after 3 o'clock at 4924 47th Street East. Fire crews were called to the scene. We're told the pipe break happened in a mechanical room, which caused the first floor of the building to flood. West Fargo's newest fire station is now officially open and in use. The $18 million headquarters is funded by a sales tax increase. Crews from the station responded to a large townhouse fire November 22nd. Fire Chief Dan Fuller says the additional station is needed to keep up with growth in the city. In 2015, there was just 3 full-time firefighters. Now the full-time crew is 48 with 15 part-timers. The holiday season is officially underway at the state capitol. Governor Doug Burgum and First Lady Catherine Burgum were joined by local leaders and residents in lighting the state Christmas tree last night in Bismarck. And a city in northern Minnesota is considering selling off its ambulance service to help balance its budget. Officials in Nashwauk say they were spending up to $1,600 for each emergency call that requires an ambulance response. But the city is receiving Medicare reimbursements of less than $500 for each call. Tom Tucker, WDAY, and WDAYRadioNow.com.
Hey, did you hear? Santa needs new boots this Christmas.
Oh no, if Santa doesn't get new boots, there'll be no Christmas.
Fear not, little ones. Santa won't be slipping down the chimney in worn-out boots this year. Hi, Teresa here from the Fargo Red Wing Shoe Store. We've got the perfect fit for Santa's big night. Comfort, durability, and style. Because even Santa deserves to strut his stuff. So worry not, kiddos. Christmas is back on track. All thanks to the Fargo Red Wing Shoe Store. Come on down and help us keep the magic alive.
When it comes to dealing with cold springtime soils, how tough is your corn seed? I'm Darren Hefty. At Hefty Seed Company, we believe your corn should be as tough as you are. Our 40 Series corn is the industry's only corn seed recommended for planting in soils as cold as 40 degrees. And it works. This season, on hundreds of thousands of acres, we had no replants due to cold soil. Don't let cold ground keep you out of your fields this spring. Get out there first with the toughest seed in the market. Hefty brand 40 Series corn.
Weather and Ag in Focus on WDAY Radio.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. I want to thank you for joining us. We've got a special guest today, Christine Leonard. She's a Minnesota dairy farmer and a cheesemonger. So, Christine, I want to ask you a little bit about your cheese business. And I got a couple questions, but we'll start off with this one. How in the world did you get into the cheese business and educating people on that as well?
Yeah, sure. So like I said earlier, I had mentioned, when I went off to college, I really did not have an intention of coming home to the farm. And so I went to school and I have a degree in food science and technology from the University of Wisconsin Stout. I knew what those foods looked like on the raw side when they left our farm. I knew what they looked like on the pasteurized side when you picked up a gallon of milk or a block of cheese or whatever it may be. And I really wanted to know what happens in between there. When my parents wouldn't let me come home, they said, go do something else. And so I went and I made cheese for a year at Redhead Creamery, which is over in Bruton, Minnesota. They make farmstead artisan cheeses, and that was really my first introduction into what cheese really can be. I always say I had kind of this awesome moment. I missed working with cows when I was there, and so I'd help milk a few mornings a week. And while you're milking, that milk was being gravity fed through a stainless steel pipeline, through a tunnel underground directly into their pasteurizer tank. After you were done with your milking shift, you shower, you change into your creamery clothes. By 2 o'clock that afternoon, you're eating a cheese curd that you milked that morning. And if that doesn't make you fall in love with cheese, I don't know what will. So
I love the excitement. That's awesome. All right, so I got to ask you, your favorite and your least favorite kind of cheese.
I should have known this question was coming. Man, that's a tough one. It really depends on what I'm doing and how I'm enjoying it. I'm just as guilty. I think everybody always expects my go-to cheese to be something really kind of fancy and crazy. And I'll be honest with you, a Colby cheese is probably still one of my favorite go-tos. It's such a nice, easygoing cheese. Redhead Creamery, their Lucky Linda, it's a cloth-bound cave-aged cheddar it's an English-style cheddar, so it's caramely, it's nutty. That's another cheese that no matter the time of day, no matter what's going on, you can pull that cheese out and it's gonna put you in a good mood. There's also one other one. It's called a Prisity. So this is a lactic ripened bloomy rinded cheese, or geo-rinded cheese, excuse me, which is a lot of words to say. It's kind of a funky little cheese. It's this little orange ball, and it's this like kind of bright, creamy, kind of like cream cheese, kind of has a texture of like a hard-boiled egg yolk. I mean, it's this fun little delight that's made by Alomar Cheese Company out of Minneapolis. And I don't know, between those three, I think I'm set for a good afternoon of cheese.
All right, I got one more for you, and then I know Justin and Bridgette have quite a few. So, Limburger cheese. Are you aficionado with Limburger cheese?
Yes, I am. I am familiar with Limburger.
Okay,
yeah.
now this is an old wives' tale, and you let me know if this is true. Back in the day, when you were sick, they used to rub Limburger cheese on your chest, and that is supposedly would cure a head cold. It'd make me sick, but that's supposed to cure a head cold. Bridget's looking at me like, "What are you talking about?"
Is this like Vicks Vapor Rub on your feet with socks over the top when you go to bed at night? And
Something
a head coat,
similar.
That's supposed to work too.
Something similar.
I might need some of that then.
Yeah, you should get a big bottle of Vicks.
It sounds like you just need a block of Limburger, actually. Maybe not Vicks. I don't know if there's any truth to that.
Okay.
I can't say either way. Limburger is a intense cheese. I have heard the rumor that when you drive by Limburger, if you're upwind of it, that you can catch a whiff every once in a while. But I can't say I'm too sure about that either way.
So tell me about the website, the Grater Good. What do you got going on over there?
Yeah, so through my website, so that's the Grater Good, spelled Grater, like a cheese grater with the MN at the end. I try to keep a lot of stuff going on up there. Probably the hardest part about running a business, it isn't necessarily the physical work of it. It's trying to keep all the social media and all the websites updated. But we're doing, selling platters right out of there. I do private classes, so I'll actually come to people's homes. You guys provide the beverages, the venue, and the glassware, and I provide the rest to do like a private cheese tasting. And then it also just has links to a bunch of different public events that I'll go to as well. So, it's just kind of fun ways to catch me at different markets or things like that as well. The website has probably been one of the biggest keys to the success of my business. I am lucky enough that I had a friend that took on my website as a passion project of hers. It was okay. And then, she specializes in that kind of stuff, and she just turned it into something really functional that really was able to kind of just keep things moving the way that I needed to. It's a lot less time sending emails and scheduling things because it can all be done right through the website now too.
So when you're doing these, and you're doing the education on cheese, what is it that you're trying to teach or inform people about?
Well, The biggest thing, so I do a lot of classes in the West Metro into the Twin Cities area. And one of the first questions I ask when I teach a class is, how many of you guys know a farmer? And it's really interesting to look around, and very few people raise their hand. And then if I ask, how many of you guys know a dairy farmer specifically, that a couple more hands go down. And so I just think that classes are a great way for people to get to connect with their food a little bit more. Like I said, I'm sixth generation. I'm lucky to have that heritage of farming in my family to really understand the ins and outs of it. But as people get further and further removed from agriculture, that understanding of what it really takes to produce the food that's on your table, that they just get further removed from it, and they get scared by things that, that are amazing science, amazing advances that we're making in the industry. They get nervous about it. They just don't understand it. And so I like to tell them, this is a great opportunity to ask those questions, to ask how your food is made, to ask a little bit more about the people that are producing it. You can sure Google it, but who gets the top spot on Google? The people that pay the most. And there's a lot of animal rights activist group that pay a lot of money to be those first search results on Google. And so if they can just come and ask me, they're going to get a lot better understanding of it. So we cover that. We cover how cheese is made and, the farms and creameries that those cheeses are coming from too.
Do you do any work with anyone else or yourself when it comes to, say, maybe pairing wine with the different cheeses?
Yeah, I actually did a class last night at a winery in Minneapolis. I work pretty closely with a lot of different wineries and breweries and even coffee shops. We've done some like latte pairing classes and chocolate pairing classes. And it's really fun to get to collaborate with people that are so knowledgeable on, their own product. It's fun. I get pretty passionate about cheese, and when I can find someone that's just as passionate about what they're making and what they're serving, it's a fun class for people to get to attend as well. I did take a wine and spirits class in college. It was a Thursday night class. It was a lot of fun, and it really gave me an appreciation for cheese and wine. But that's about where my wine knowledge starts and ends, is right there. So anytime I can connect with people that are really, really experts in their industry, that's great.
Just a second. There was a cheese and wine class, and I didn't know anything about this when I was in school.
You missed it.
Yeah, they had a second.
Completely
there was a second
rethinking
level
my postgraduate education.
There was a second level to that class too, and they got to travel to either Spain or to France. I did not do the study abroad portion, and probably a big regret of mine too. That would have been pretty excellent to do wine or cheese in France or Spain.
I gotta go. I'm signing up for some graduate work.
Dean and Bridgette, I don't know if you remember when we had Carolyn Covington on, or the two dots I'm kind of putting together here, the American Wine Girl. That was, again, Carolyn Covington out of Fargo here. And she does basically what you're doing with cheese, she does with wine. And I could just see the two of you hitting it off really good and doing some fun collaboration stuff together. So that kind of leads into my question. Do you do a bunch of social media stuff that goes along with all this education that you pair up with your website or videos and whatnot?
That's somewhere that I would love to be able to do a little more of it. The hard part about social media is that, especially for someone like me, or for my age group in general, there's a lot of comparisons and a lot of give and pull that happens on social media. And so I actually have to set timers so I don't spend too much time on there and waste too much time on there. The tough thing for me right now is between, more than full-time farming and then also running my cheese business on the side. I don't do quite as much education as I would like to, but I try to share good posts here and there from people that I think are doing a really good job with that education portion of that through social media.
If we keep having guests like Christine on that are talking about not just the dairy cows, but the fact that how it's processed, et cetera, from that raw milk to cheese, we might as well just rename this show Gourmet, because as far as I can tell, all I do is get hungry every time we have a discussion like this. So when you think about the classes that you've done, Christine, do you have that aha moment that you put a pairing together and every single time folks are like, oh, I would never have done that. I would never have thought about those flavors. Does something like that ever happen to you?
Yeah, there's a few different times. There was a family that contacted me. They said they really like spicy cheese. And so actually, a neighbor of mine, Carl and Heather Olson, they milk cows in Mayer, Minnesota, and they get their milk made into cheese at the University of Minnesota. They make a habanero cheddar that is awesome. And I paired that habanero cheddar with a dried mango, and that sweetness with that spiciness. It was almost like salsa, but it cut through with the creaminess of that cheese. That was one of those pairings that just kind of left them a little bit jaw dropped. It was so awesome. So that one, I was pretty proud of how that one came together, but it's really fun. The hard part about my job is all the research, right? And so every once in a while I have to go to a winery and we just have to do a little research to make sure everything's going to pair well together. And we had actually another one of those
Do you
moments.
want one of us to drive you to research, or can you make it on your own?
Oh yeah. I always say college me would be sad because I really do just take a little sip of the wine to pair it with, and then I dump the rest into, you're supposed to dump it into that bucket. And I'm like, man, if only I would have known I'd have been doing this. But I had one other pairing. This cheese, it's called Contadina. It's made by Capernera Creamery down in southern Minnesota. Katie milks about 50 small goats, or 50 goats, which is a pretty small milking herd. Her batches are so small, she makes about 3 wheels of cheese at a time. So talk about an artisan product. And this cheese is excellent. It also has this fun pepperiness to it. We paired it with the Marquette wine, had this perfect peppery notes to it. It was just like one of those pairings that you just smile and nod because you hit the nail on the head there.
That sounds fantastic. Okay, so I do have to ask this as well. When it comes to your cows, your herd with your Holsteins, do you ever anticipate making your own cheese, or do you feel like your relationship with Baumgart's is really great and you're just going to continue to emphasize other folks' cheese? Is there any direction you want to take that, Christine?
When I first came home, I was really dead set on that we were going to do on-farm processing. The thing about that is to build on-farm processing can be really expensive, but even more than it's expensive, it's really time-consuming. And as I've gotten more into the cows, the reason I came home to farm is really because I want to work with cows. And so I'm hoping that maybe someday down the road I can find a partnership with a cheesemaker that, really, really would want to make cheese out of our cow's milk. I think we breed really nice animals that are giving, a milk that would be really great to make cheese out of. And so maybe someday I will. I'd have to be milking a lot less cows by then, just to really be able to balance those times out. I just like working with cows too much that, and making cheese, it's not as simple as just running from the barn and change something real quick. It's run in from the barn, shower, change, go into the creamery, do whatever you need to do in there, go back out to the barn. It's not just a hop back and forth kind of a thing. You really have to take that food safety pretty seriously too.
Oh, that is a great point. And so as we are out of time, but Christine, once again, your website, social media, how can people find you? Because I think they might want to, especially if they can be ordering charcuterie boards from you in time for Christmas.
Yeah, so my Facebook and Instagram, you can find me. It's The Grater Good, MN, Grater spelled Grater, like a cheese grater. And then my website is also thegreatergoodmn.com. So try to keep it consistent there, make it easy for you guys to find me.
This has been so much fun. Thank you so much for taking the time to visit with us between milkings and so forth today, Christine. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be back in just a few minutes. We're going to wrap up with the weather and the rest of our ag headlines for the day. Don't go anywhere.
The mission of Olivet Lutheran Church in Fargo is to tell the story of Jesus' love for all people without exception. Worship with us Sunday mornings at 8:30 at our traditional service, 10:30 at our contemporary service, or Wednesday evenings at 6. Join one of our many ministry groups, like the Olivet Choir, Bell Choir, Bible Studies, Women's Ministries, Quilting and Crafting, or volunteer inside and outside our walls. For more information, go to olivet.org. Encounter Jesus, experience grace at Olivet Lutheran Church.
Get ready to savor the moments and share the joy this holiday season. Give the gift of great food to fuel their fun at Kingpins. Now through Sunday, December 24th, visit Kingpins and pick up the perfect gift for your loved ones. When you purchase a $25 Barron's gift card, you'll receive a $5 bonus Barron's gift card. Buy a $50 Barron's gift card, and we'll add a $10 bonus Barron's gift card to your purchase. And for those who go big with a $100 Barron's gift card, you'll get a whopping $25 bonus Barron's gift card. Food and beverage gift cards are redeemable at Barron's, 48 Lounge, and Axis Tilt. This holiday season, it's all about good food and great memories. Visit Kingpins today and make your holiday gift giving extra special. Don't miss out on this limited time offer at Kingpins in Fargo.
Are you suffering from neuropathy? Do you experience stabbing pain, numbness, tingling, or burning in your feet? Are you tired of sleepless nights and avoiding life due to pain? If you've been diagnosed with neuropathy or are experiencing pain or numbness in your feet, pick up the phone and call us right now before it's too late at 701-929-7545. Again, that's 701-929-7545. Neuropathy is a very serious and progressive disease where your nerves start to break down. Eventually, it leads to balance problems, falls, complete loss of independence, and it can lead to amputation. Our program addresses the underlying causes and doesn't simply mask your symptoms with medication. In fact, many patients start experiencing relief from neuropathy symptoms within weeks. There's no surgery and no use of prescription drugs. Pick up the phone right now and call 701-929-7545. Call us today at Dakota Clinic of Chiropractic at 701-929-7545 today.
When farmers think Four Seasons, they don't think a singing group. They think Thor Building. So be it 95 or 25 below, whether you're in a wet cycle or dry, farmers and ranchers know that housing their equipment and livestock is vital to success. The team at Thor Buildings understands your need. They'll give you a contract upfront and guarantee that price from start to finish. There's a reason agriculture builds with Thor. So when it's time to put the hammer down, build with Thor. Check out thorbuildings.com.
Hey, Janae White of the Coffee Club, tell us what you like about Hot Works in Moorhead.
I love that I can get a full, complete workout in 15 minutes and not spend an hour doing a workout. My favorite workout is the Hot Blast, where I am working out in an infrared heat. Hot Works has 24-hour access, so it can work with any schedule. It's great for weight loss, improved circulation, and detoxification. Get a tour and try it before you sign up. Go to Hot Works Moorhead on Facebook or Instagram.
This is Mark Wagner at ND Estate Services. I want to thank all the listeners out there and just really wishing you a very Merry Christmas. God bless you. Have a Happy New Year. Encouraging you to give your family the gift of avoiding probate at death, eliminating legal guardianship when you're incapacitated, saving taxes, protecting their inheritance. Find out more at ndestateservices.com, 701-318-0908.
This is Weather and Ag in Focus with Bridgette Readel, Justin Storm, and Dean Wysocki.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for rejoining us. It's 1:53 on this warm afternoon, and temperatures are reaching up in the upper 40s. Dean, you must have a golfing trip planned or something. I can't believe you're still here.
Well, if the courses
were
open,
out there.
I would be if the courses were
They
open.
don't need to be open for you to go out.
Well, then you better be bringing some money for me to get out of the back of the squad car then.
No, they know who you are. They'll just
let you off
with a warning. Say, Dean, don't come back.
Mm-hmm.
You say all this like you're concerned, but no. We're not.
No.
It's all good.
Go, Dean. Go to the golf course.
All right. See you.
Have a good rest of the day. But before you go, why don't we run down that forecast? Because I know we have some nice temperatures today, and even in the next week, it does look like there are more above average days in the forecast with only a few minor chances for some snow.
Yeah, it's quiet weather pattern we're in right now, and we're going into that warm part of the LRC cycle, and man, temperature's 47 degrees right now. We'll probably come close to 50. I mean, we're almost there already. The record is 52. I don't think we'll quite get there, but I can't totally rule it out. Even upper 40s is just absolutely beautiful for this time of the year. With the wind out of the west, about 5 to 15. Partly cloudy. Cold front comes through tonight, switching our winds to the northwest. We'll drop down into the lower 20s, a little cooler for Thursday and Friday. Highs in the low to mid 30s, both Thursday and Friday. The weekend, mid to upper 30s, slight chance of a little light snow Sunday, late into Monday, with highs remaining in the 30s. And then by the middle and end of next week, we could well be warming up once again, back up into the 40s. So this mild weather continues as we head into that first week in December. We're just robbing each nice day. We're robbing that day away from Old Man Winter. So I don't see
Basically stolen a whole month.
for the most part. We really have. And I know a lot of ice enthusiasts are they're getting a little itchy because we really this weather out there today is not conducive, obviously, for ice. And we'll get there. It's just going to be a little slower this year than it has in the previous years. Once we get that snowpack built up in Manitoba, then we'll start to see the colder weather intensify. But there's lack of snow in central and western Canada. So, we've got to get that built up before we can get some appreciable cold weather coming into the area. So until then, let's enjoy the nice weather for the most part. Just a few hiccups along the way.
I don't think we have to be too worried about that. I really feel like we're going to pick up snow. The timing is always going to be right. And as far as ice is concerned, well, it's going to cool off. We're not going to be 50 degrees until New Year's, guys. Eventually, we're going to have some ice. Let's not worry about that. And it should be good ice. Without having a snow to insulate it, should be really good ice.
Good point. Yep. Mm-hmm. Not like the other years where we had the snow first and then that acted as an insulator on the ice. So.
Yeah, because as someone who gets on the ice and is pretty much anxiety Annie, I would very much like for it not to get out of hand. Thank you. Not a lot of things bother me, but I did not grow up around ice fishing, so I still get a little crazy when it's time to go out there.
It didn't bother. I went out the first time a couple of years ago, middle of Lake of the Woods, and we were out there. We were 20 minutes out on the ice, and at least, and it didn't bother me a bit. You could hear it cracking every now and then.
Oh, the ice pops. Some of them are pretty sketchy. I'll say that, though.
Yeah.
It only bothers me when I first get there for a little while, and then I just tend to forget I'm on the ice, so then it's not a big deal. It's all fine.
Few beers and you don't care.
I'm not saying, but it's possible.
I'm not
it's
agreeing
totally
or disagreeing.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. I'm not even pleading the fifth on that. Maybe it's an Alfred plea.
Yeah, no need. Why don't we hit one of our
Okay.
egg topics here, Bridgette? And
what would you like to
did
talk
we
about today,
well?
Justin?
Did we talk about well water safety?
We have not yet. So I remember as a kid when Dad would have to take water samples out of the well on the farm and send them to the state health department in Bismarck to have them checked out to make sure that they weren't high in nitrates or anything like that. And that still happens today. There are some farms with wells that are well over 100 years old, and making sure that those are safe for drinking water is still important. So if you are in North Dakota, you can indeed get samples sent into the Department of Environmental Quality, and they will test those wells for you. Additionally, if you're in Minnesota, you can do that by sending those in. You can actually, there's like 27 different labs that are contracted to the state of Minnesota to do those testing. If you are interested, you can email me, ag@flagfamily.com, and I will happily send you a list of where to find those things. But it's the time of the year to get that done. You're probably done with most of your farm work. So here's your opportunity to get out there and make sure your well water is good to go for another month or year, however long you want between testing. So that's all for today. The Jay Thomas Show is coming up next. See you tomorrow, guys.